Hello, and welcome to Talking Development. Today, we're talking about opportunity and what it really takes to help women owned small businesses start, grow, and thrive. Small businesses create up to 90% of jobs in developing countries. And across the world, women entrepreneurs are fueling growth, creating jobs, and strengthening their communities. Yet, far too many still face barriers to capital, skills, and opportunity. And that's why I'm so excited that the World Bank Group is joining forces with Visa Foundation to unlock access to finance and empower women entrepreneurs to lead in the global economy. Kelly Tullier, Vice Chair, Chief People and Corporate Affairs Officer, and Corporate Secretary at Visa, and Adesuwa Okunbo Rhodes, Founder and Managing Partner at Aruwa Capital. Kelly, Adesuwa, welcome.
Thank
I'm
you.
so excited you're joining me at my Talking Development video.
It's wonderful to be here with you today, Anna.
Thank you. Kelly, I'm going to start with you. You put inclusive economic growth at the center of your mission. And I know as part of that, helping to grow female-led businesses is a core part of this mission. And this partnership that we're about to launch and start is a key part. Why does this inclusive economic growth matter so much as part of your mission? And what do you expect out of this partnership?
Thank you, Anna. It's wonderful to be here and talk about our brand new partnership today. You know, at Visa, our purpose is to uplift everyone everywhere by being the best way to pay and be paid. And at the World Bank, your mission is to promote shared prosperity. So much in common.
Yes.
It's a natural partnership between us. And small businesses are at the heart of what we do at the Visa Foundation. We invest in partners who help us develop skills and financial education, access to capital to enable small businesses to thrive all around the world. We are entering our 10th year at the Visa Foundation, and I'm really proud that we've invested $350 million across 150 organizations to help 13 million small businesses, 14 million people get jobs across the world. So we have a great track record, but our model is about partnership.
Yeah.
It's about working with nonprofit organizations as well as investment funds to focus on small businesses everywhere we go.
Fantastic. Those are impressive numbers. Adesuwa, I want to turn to you. You have a remarkable journey. You actually came from a career in private equity, and then you started and founded your own company, Aruwa Capital, which focuses on helping women-led businesses. Tell us what you've learned through this process of creating this company and helping this group of women. What are some of the lessons, some of the achievements, some of the strategies that actually work?
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited to have, two of my partners here talking to me. So at Aruwa Capital, I set up Aruwa about 7 years ago. And our mission is really to unlock the untapped potential of women across Africa. We really want to showcase the intersection of strong financial returns when you invest in women, but also the multiplier effects that come when you invest in women, because you invest in a woman, you empower a family, you empower a community, you empower a country. So through the 15 investments we've done now at Aruwa Capital, we have about 70% of that portfolio that is female-led and female-founded. And we've seen phenomenal success. We've seen that on average, we've seen about 26x revenue growth in our portfolio.
Wow.
We've seen top quartile financial returns in our funds. And we've also seen valuation uplifts when these companies go on to raise more capital.
Incredible.
So on an average of 24 months, we're typically seeing larger financial institutions come and invest in our companies. And we're seeing a 7x on average valuation uplift.
Incredible.
So we are very intentionally wanting to showcase the intersection between a gender lens investing strategy, strong financial returns, but also impact. Because across our portfolio, we're supporting 200,000 direct and indirect jobs. So we don't think that it's a coincidence that 70% of our portfolio is women-led and women-founded.
Yeah.
So I think if you have a very intentional gender-led strategy and you're focused on the right segment of the market, which we believe is small, medium-sized businesses, then you can have this very seamless intersection between profit and purpose. So those are some of the, I would say, the lessons that we've learned. But some of the things that we will also say is to really unlock this at scale, we need to have partnerships across each of the different
Yeah.
capital stages.
Yeah.
So Aruwa is just focusing on one stage. We need Aruwa at all the different stages.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that the partnership with Visa and World Bank is hoping to invest in more funds like us that are addressing companies at different stages of their growth.
It's amazing. Also, such impressive numbers in a pretty short period of time. And what I love is the compelling and very clear business case that
Yes.
investment in women-led businesses equals and those incredible
It
metrics.
equals returns.
Yeah,
You're not
it's
sacrificing
yeah,
returns for impact
yeah,
because we always want to bust this myth that
yeah,
investing in women is charity.
yeah.
But investing in women is actually a very strong commercial case too.
Good business sense.
Fabulous,
Exactly.
fabulous. Love it. Kelly, I'm going to come back to you. You have been part of, well, from the very early days of Visa Foundation to
Yes.
focus on this. And I want to thank you for that because it takes a lot of leadership and vision to create an opportunity at scale. And I want to talk to you about scale because one thing we're trying to do, as you know, at the World Bank Group is to really get to scale
Yes.
because we do a lot of little things that are so cool and so interesting and in and of themselves fantastic examples of development impact, but then they stay small.
Right.
So it's all about trying to see how we can scale solutions. What has been your experience at Visa Foundation to be able to take an idea, turn it into a concept, and actually turn it into a product that can be deployed and get impact fast?
Absolutely. And so for us, it is all about partnership. And we figured that out. And again, I was involved in the foundation from the very beginning, and now I have the honor of being the chair of the foundation. And we seek organizations with common missions to ours, like the World Bank, like Aruwa Capital, that can amplify what we can do as an organization. So when we partner together, we focus on three things, really, from the Visa perspective. Number one, it is about financial education. It is about literacy. I travel the world. I meet with entrepreneurs, a lot of them women, in many countries. And what we have learned is access to capital alone is not enough. They need the tools. They need to be comfortable in the digital economy in order to thrive. So we focus heavily on education as our first pillar. I'll give you an example with an organization we work with in Latin America called Pro Mejor. And it's a wonderful organization that's been around for a very long time. Together, we started a program called Emprende Pro Mejor. And that program brings digital modules to women entrepreneurs so they can learn about capital allocation, managing employees, digital skills, what they may need to be successful. An example, an artist named Maria. She has been an artist selling her goods at art fairs for years and years. She enters into the program. She takes the modules that she needs. She now has increased her profits by 230%.
Wow.
She has increased her employee base from 3 people to 9. So when you really invest in the education along with access, you can see real results coming from these partnerships. The third thing that Visa brings to these partnerships is trust and security. You know, entering into business is all about trust. These partnerships is all about trust. Visa stands for trust. When you enter into a transaction with the Visa brand, you know it's going to be safe and secure. Many of these entrepreneurs are new into business and they're leery about scaling. They may be leery about new tools. We bring that safety and security and the trust to these organizations as well.
Yeah, fantastic. And what I really like is you have an idea, but then you mobilize around it to get that leverage effect of partnerships. That's very smart. So I want to come back to you. Kelly talked a lot about partnerships. How have partnerships mattered to your enterprise? And for these 7 years, what have been some key partnerships or characteristics of partnerships that have helped you? And you talked a lot about achievements, but I also want to hear you talk about gaps. I'm very passionate about Africa's development, and I do believe tapping into this incredible resource of its people, particularly its women and its young people, is the way to go. But are there still binding constraints, structural obstacles that need to be addressed? And which would you say are the key ones?
So in terms of partnerships, I would say those have really been the key to our success. And, we've gone from our first fund, which was a $20 million fund. We set out to raise a second fund for 40 million, and it's going to be 65 million. So you oversubscribed second fund. And that's really just down to the partnerships. So I'm going to make Kelly blush, but Visa Foundation was a key partner for us in Fund One. We mobilized local capital to do our first, couple of investments, but it was the $4 million anchor investment from Visa Foundation in our Fund One where they were able to provide us with that stamp of approval as our first institutional investor that was able to crowd in other investors like the MasterCard Foundation and FSD Africa to get us to a final close. So I can't stress enough those key catalytic partnerships that they invest when everyone thinks it's risky. They take that bold step to believe in a vision, to believe in a founder, to believe in a thesis, and eventually others catch up. So I think that there's such an immense power of partnerships. In Fund 2, we're also very grateful to IFC
That's true.
to coming into our second fund and also catalyzing a number of local pension funds around us. So I can't stress the number of, the importance of partnerships to really unlock capital for women in Africa. In terms of challenges, I think we still have a few. When I think about the landscape today for venture capital and private equity, I think it's very unbalanced. We don't have enough capital at each stage of the capital continuum. We have VC funds, we don't have enough SME funds. So where we're sitting, we're still one of very, very few funds that are able to write tickets of below 5 million. We have a lot of large cap funds that are deploying 20 to 30 million, but there is a real missing middle where access to capital for SMEs still needs to be addressed. So I'd say that's one gap. Another gap is, Kelly said it, we need more than just capital for these businesses. So when we invest in our female entrepreneurs, how are we bringing technical assistance around financial education, around optimizing their finance function, around helping them with marketing, helping them with go-to-market, helping them with recruiting? So ensuring that these businesses can be scalable and sustainable, we need to provide more than just capital. And we rely on technical assistance from our partners like IFC and Visa Foundation to make sure that the dollars that we invest go further and these businesses are able to scale more sustainably. And then I think the third gap that I see is we also need to be able to encourage local capital mobilization. So how are we using blended finance? How are we using catalytic tools to encourage pension funds to invest more in this asset class? In Nigeria alone, we have $14 billion of pension fund assets, and less than 0.2% is investing in private equity. When we have such a huge access to finance gap and have such a huge infrastructure gap, we need to be using these pension assets to invest in the real economy. So I'd be very interested to know how we can unlock those, local capital pools as well, so that over time, our pension funds can actually be investing in the real economy. So I'd say those are kind of three gaps that keep me up at night as I think about kind of the evolution of capital on the continent.
So I could go on and on and on, because now I'm like curious, how did you guys find each other? How did you find IFC? But what I'm really feeling is I'm joining an incredible partnership that exists already. And some of the obstacles you mentioned are maybe obstacles we also can help work on as the World Bank Group. So we become a partnership in many ways. And Kelly, the way you look at this so holistically, including on education, including on looking at what access to services is needed beyond finance, is really exactly what we also think is needed. In our gender strategy, in fact, we look at one way of making sure women can be more active in labor force participation is access to social protection, access to digital, access to equity. Because equity in and of itself is needed, like you guys have both described, beyond having access to a bank account, right? So this is so inspiring. I can't wait to launch this and get working with both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I think that was just amazing. The leadership at display here by both Kelly and Adesuwa and all the great work that they're doing. And I want to thank you for joining us here today. As always, I want to give you a few takeaways, and this one is simple. Unlocking the potential and talent of women and girls is essential to creating more jobs and accelerating economic growth. This partnership between the World Bank Group and Visa Foundation is about removing those barriers, scaling what works, and we heard great examples, and building a true ladder of opportunity for women entrepreneurs. It contributes to our ambitious global goal of providing capital to 80 million more women and women-led businesses by 2030. By expanding access to capital, skills, and strong local partnerships that support women's economic participation, we're driving growth that benefits everyone. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time on Talking Development.